Hello, everybody. How are you doing this fine evening? I'm doing well, and I hope you're doing well as well. So, what a post on Facebook, and I really like that a lot of people have shown their interest into um, getting started with Bricks native kind of building. Instead of just using all kinds of plugins to make your lives easier, we can also use native Bricks Builder. I'm wondering, what have you used in the past, by the way? Let's also have a look, shall we? Because I'm very happy with the post. So just starting out, also let me know if everything is working as expected, because I don't know as of yet. It does look like it is working as expected. So that's always good. So, thank you, Jennifer. Hello, Jonathan. Hi, Tech. Never seen you live, just a video. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm doing live streams every Tuesday, by the way. So if you would like to join in the future, please do so. I like to do these kinds of things just to easily hang out with you guys and also try to experiment with some things. I've done some plugin tests, but also some tools. Also looked into how to use Bricks Builder and that sort of thing. So I love experimenting. Hello, little brother. How are you doing? Can see and hear you just fine. Thanks, Scott. Hello. Flippin' son. Were you angry at your cat at a point in time? Lovely for you all to join, and love you that you're also engaging in the chat. So today we have planned to go through the Bricks Builder and then just using the native Bricks Builder. So without any add-ons or plugins using. Yeah, I'm doing fine as well this fine evening, actually. Thanks for asking. And it all started with this post in the Bricks community. I asked for people who are struggling with Bricks Builder and are new to Bricks Builder to share their experience. And what I saw in the comments, there were a few people that have issues with all the people having installed some kind of plugin like Core Framework or the Kevin Geary stack, as some people say, the ACSS and that sort of things. So this is all only bricks. Yeah, there will be only bricks. I can also just set up the... So this is the only plugin that I've installed. I have not activated it, so it will be native bricks. No other plugins. Yeah, no, you don't need other plugins. You can just do it with the same one. You're fine, Jonathan. And also let me know if you struggle with something or I can help you out with later. Because I love doing those kinds of things. Trying to understand what can be improved. Let's also fire up my Blitzit because I've had some tasks added for today that we have some kind of agenda instead of me just rambling on. So we can move all of them to today. And as you can see, these are all planned kind of thing from the post, but also what I've been planning from the past. And let's see how things will go, right? Happy DM if I need. All right, nice. So professional. a real web developer, right? Let's see. So what I want to start off is looking at the design. The design that I've chosen is it is in a link down in the description. It is using old Sprout, if I remember correctly. Need to work on my pronunciation. Let's see. Let's see if we can find myself, right? There we go. Take his review. Please hit the like button, by the way, if you like this this video. So this UI gave me an inspiration on what kind of design we can recreate without being too difficult to follow. You do need Figma for it, but you can use it for free. I have a paid version because I'm designer by trade and also like using Figma for my thumbnail design and that sort of things. If you see anything that I created, here you have my thumbnails. It is done in Figma, so at least you know. And I wanted to grab this simple design for today. Just see how we can make this design come to life within the native Bricks Builder. And I don't think it's very difficult. And I want to help you understand how you can use the steps that I will show today to get at least started and understand what the process for me at least is. So I won't be looking at yet that much. So just know, here we have our timer that we at least know that we are on the track. I guess we need to skip this. Pause. Can we pause? Yeah, because it started off wrong one. It needs to be other ways around. That's stupid. Now we have to rearrange it. Besides that, this is an amazing tool, by the way. So bear with me just a sec. Then we go there. It. I don't want this one. Mark it for later. Reusable spacing. I need that later on. Can we just hit done? Ooh, we already made a task. Awesome. Let's add the task again. Reusable space. So there we go. Reusable spacing, colors, text, that kind of things. And I've also opened up my own. Yeah. So first off, I want to start off that by using a design, it doesn't matter which one, try to recreate it. That's the best way of learning it, right? If you don't understand how classes work, if you don't understand how everything works and how you do these kinds of things, you need to do practice. You just need to try out how to do this yourself. And the way I start off is looking at how the structure is built. Now, Figma helps me a little bit when looking at Sprout UI. It has some purple boxes, which are actually sections of your pages. Every section of your page is made out of several boxes. And we can see that the whole section here, for instance, this one, is a whole box. It has a big box that is the full width, and you have the content box. Usually it's called the inner wrapper or the container, and it shows your side width. In this case, they have set it to 1150, but this could also be 1500 or 1200, whatever you would like to. Then you see that the logo is separate. So this on its own is also a box. Then you have a navigation, which is also a box. And then you have a group of login and sign up, which is also a box. And this is what we call the box model. It explains how everything interacts with each other, sides by sides, and how the boxes exist. So what's in there? But we're not done yet. It's not everything, because we also have a small box over here, because we have a drop down. And this drop down is actually an icon. I am telling this very slowly, but in my brain, I do this just like an instant. Yeah, it's fancy, right? I can do drawing. Another one. This section right here is called the hero section. It's the starting point of every web page. And so we're actually in breakdown. So this one, just call this done. Yeah, next task. Breakdown. And we are breaking down what's on the page. So in here, I see several things. The H1. So this is the A1. This is the first time I'm testing this out, by the way. So hopefully this will go great. H1 is the HTML tag. So we can reuse that later. And in here, We have the P tag, which stands for paragraph. I see that my writing doesn't go translate well enough, but well, it is right. I see that we have some kind of accent or eyebrow heading, whatever you want to call it. Accent. The writing isn't going well. We have a block of buttons, button, and we have an image. And what I'm doing here is breaking down what I see on my pages, what I see in this specific section in the box, you can say. And this is what you need to do on every section of the page. You need to understand, all right, what's on this page. How can I transfer those into a box? So here we have a box and they're side by side. But you can say that the overall box, so this whole section, is also a box, but they are aligned from top to bottom. Is by default in the web space. Is everything clear so far? Are there any questions? I like to take a break because I can go really fast, of course. So you need to understand how you can break down the layouts before you go into using classes and that sort of things. This is the basic fundamentals actually that you need to understand. What I also see is that there are some colors that are used, and those colors are this blue actually. And we need to see if there are other colors that are used. I see that the text is in a different color. I see that this text is a different color. I see that we have a border right here on the button that has a different color. At some point, I would like to use dynamic data and not skipping any steps. Yeah, we will go there some time. I don't know if we can make it this live stream, but I want to get into the basics first. Just had a thought. Many people get stuck on doing a login. All right, nice. Seem to skip them one or two steps. You are fine. Yeah. How to map them with login logout. I will check that one, Jonathan. Thanks. So I hope this is clear, at least for the basics. And then you need to break down everything for the design. How can make this Figma file available that you can also look into it and see if you understand how you can break it down. For instance, here we have another section. We have a section that has a big box over here. And that big boxes exist out of two boxes, 1 and 2. You could say that this is 2 boxes, but by default, the HTML works from top to bottom. So we don't need the extra box. Then we have a box right here that has 2 images. And we have another box right here that has 3 images. Now, the funny thing with this one is that you can build it in Flex, but also in CSS Grid. CSS Grid and Flex are ways of creating a layout, a structure of your website, if you will. And it doesn't really matter which one you use. I like to use Grid, and the reason being that it can exist out of less containers, because you can create all kinds of systems actually. Let's give an example. In Flexbox, you need a separate container for the above one and the one below. But in CSS Grid, this could be just one container. So this could be one container. Actually, the whole section could be one container. But you need to understand how much, what the lowest size is that you can use. So for instance, if we use a 2-column grid, 1FR, 1FR, 1 fraction, we're getting into too much details, I guess, right now. You have 1 fraction. 1FR is a fraction of the section. All right, I think I will not do this right now because this already gets very complicated. But yeah, it's a way that you can also split up. So we'll take a look into that later. This is a 2-column layout where you have some design on the left and an image on the right. And as you can see, we have here we have a different kind of color that we want to use, and this one as well. And when we scroll down even further, you see that here is a color. Suddenly I can't. Here, this one is a different color. My brain does this automatically all of the time, so I'm sorry. I'm still getting used to how to teach these kinds of things, right? So what we need to look at is what are the things that we can reuse. And why is that? It makes our lives easier in the future. So if we look at this text, we see that there's a color used called text color. And if we look at the hex, it is 6161. So this is the first color that we use, and that is for this text. Now, if we look at the sign up one, we see that there's a color used of FCFC. So there's another color that we use. If we look at the color of our title, we see that 0D, 0D, 0D is used. And by doing this, you make it easier for yourself to use similar styling instead of just trying to recreate it. Now, as you can see, this can be very tedious. You need to collect them one by one. But this is what you need to do. And what I always do when I first set up any website, because you do need the colors. You do need, so this one is 8080. We already have the one. You need to have every color, because if you are going to recreate it, those colors doesn't exist. They don't come out of thin air. So if we look in here, we see that we already have several color palettes. And to make it a little bit easier to see what it's what the colors are, you can create triangles. I pressed R, and then we'll add a triangle in, and then we select the text and copy it in right here. So this one is this one. And then we copy the next one. This way we can keep tabs if we have missed any colors. So in here we have another one. And this is 8080. And here we have another one. Let's also see what the color of this one is. It's the same, right? And so here we have our initial color setup. And doing this, it will get very tedious very soon, right? And a way to fix this is to use something that is called reusable colors. And to do so, we can use bricks to help us out. Oh, what's replay? It's welcome. Let's see how better we can get into teaching these kinds of stuff. I want to repeat it a few times. So love that you were here, Bob, and hope you to see you another day. So as you can see, we broke down at least the first sections. 10 minutes in, woohoo! We broke down the colors that are used in the first section, and this helps us to maintain the color usage throughout the page, which then again makes sure that we are consistent with the colors that we use and when we're using the colors. This kind of system can be very difficult. And a way to help us, find my page. A way to help us out with creating this kind of branding is using something that is called the variable manager. It will use, so zoom in a little bit, and it comes at default in Bricks Builder. Advanced Themer has an option. You have open props that already has a defined color usage. Let's open it up, right? So here, all kinds of CSS variables is already in there. You don't have to set it up. It's already done for you. Same goes for Core Framework. Core Framework allows you to create a design or a website framework. Let's create a new one just to test it out. We use the default Core Framework. And I highly recommend using something like this because you can easily change your colors. And what we're doing right now will be much easier using Core Framework because now we have this shade of blue. But as we can see right here, we see that there's another shade of blue in there as well. It is quite possibly a lighter variant. So if we duplicate that one and here, select it, we see that this is some kind of lighter blue. I know that you can't see it really well, but believe me, it's there. And as you can see, how they set it up is it is part of the brand colors. So all this is just breaking down which colors are used and which we can set up for our variables. This also can be done for our font sizes. This also can be done for our buttons and for our spacing and also all those things. So we have just done this one. So these are the reusable colors that we have and that we can use in our design. So let's set it up, right? We can use something like our framework that makes our life a little bit easier. ACSS does this as well. Also makes our lives a little bit easier. But let's get into Bricks. Because it will help you out significantly. Let's also see if we can make this a little bit tinier. There we go. And if we go to a page, we'll add a new page. And we call this homepage. And we add it with Bricks. So this is how I start. I start by breaking down what are the reusable parts and what do we need to set up first before we dive into recreating it. So let's go to our classes and variables. And in our variables, we can add a lot of variables. I want to be very organized. So I will add color. I will add spacing. I will add font. Maybe even font size to make it easier for us later. And we're going to open Figma. And we'll see that we have the colors right here. So I put them side by side for now. And so we put in the first one. And the first one was used for our menu. See if I'm correct. 6.1, yes. So these are the colorful fonts. And now you get a little bit difficult because you need to think about what kind of naming you want it to be. And I'm not very good at naming, but you can see that they have used text color and have some kind of skill set up. Let's also look at here. So we can just copy and paste these variables actually from their side to our side. Now they work with numbers to indicate how bright something is. You can also do it like ACSS does, and it says ultra light, ultra dark to make a different kind of difference. So let's set up our colors for our heading, shall we? So we go into text. Color. This is just the base text color. Or was it this one? The text color 500, 500. So the base one is 500. As we can see in here in the fill. And the Nev one is a little bit darker. It gets a 600. So we set it dark. Pound sign for or a hashtag if you're younger will indicate that this is the text color dark. Then we do the normal text color, which is this one, and it's 88. We fill in 88, save, and this is how we set up our colors actually. So this is a bit the boring stuff, but it needs to be done. The page background, color, 3 Fs. We can short if the letters are all the same, we can make it shorter. Color, dark. Paste that one in. Here's the brand color. Brand color. Default one. Save. Brand color light. And now we have set up our this real quick. Now we have set up our colors. Next up will be at least the font sizing. That's what I want to do at least. So in here we have 14 pixels. So this will be small, or yeah, text font size. Font size 14 pixels. Well, we are using pixels. It isn't the best way of doing this kind of thing. We should work with rems. So we can set the normal size of 1 rem, which means the size that is set in the viewport. So if the viewport has set a bigger font size, then you can then it will scale upwards, and the base font size set in the viewport, which usually is 16 pixels, will be used in this case. So we can save this one. And then we look at the next one. So this is the same actually. So we can keep that as is. This one is 2XL. You can see in the naming here. And it's 72 pixels. So we call it. We can also abbreviate stuff if you like to. Do please be consistent. Font size medium. Font size 2XL will be 72 pixels. I'm not a miracle, so I can open up my calculator. And then 72 divided by 16, about 4.5 rem. Save for our default size. Regular is 16. So this is FS medium. Also make an FS small, which would be a 0.8 rem. And we can go into our buttons, which is a 1 rem. Then we see a different size in here. XL 20. Font size XL. And then we open up a calculator. Now I do know this isn't the perfect way of doing setting up the variables, but at least it gets you going, right? Because you want and the reason why this isn't the perfect one, by the way, is because you want to have some kind of type skill. And that's why I really recommend to use Core Framework for this. Because you can see it does the type skill automatically for you. And this makes your your time creating those variables so much easier. So what I'm going to do, going to cheat a little bit, and but not use hold. I'm not going to use the Core Framework plugin. So I will show you how we can use that still. So let's remove those. Text body. The color value is there. And then we go to preview CSS. And in here, you can see that there's already a lot of variables. You can select them all and copy them. Go into Bricks. And here we have the import section. We can go in here. Size for now. And let's see if we can find a font. Text. So dash the text. And here we have the text sizing. So we can copy those over into our Bricks builder and select import the variables. And now they are imported. And if we close, we see that here are our text variables. And they're using the clamp calculator so that we don't have to think about it. We can just use those. Let's select them all and move them in our font size. Then we can move delete. Okay. And as you can see, it makes our lives easier. Instead of us having to do this time and time again, we just saved a bunch of time. We can do the same with spacing. So we select spacing. We go into our Bricks builder, import these CSS variables. There we have our CSS variables. Select them all and put them in our spacing. Yeah, it's pretty neat, right? It also makes these kinds of things so much easier. It's just insane. Now we can also do this with colors, so we can select all our colors that we have. I don't want the success rates, so and leave that as is. Go back, go into our import, select import the variables, close, and here we have a lot of variables that we can add. Those are all the colors, so we can drag them over colors. And then we can remove the other ones that we have because we don't need them. There we go. Because we have made our life easier with using these variables from Core Framework. Now, the last few things that I want to do is copy the spacing. So we're also going to import this one, this variables, and then hopefully right here. somewhere. Oh, they're already in there. Sizing. Here we have another space kind of variables. So let's add that as well. Import place, import variables. Go. Then we can select those variables, set them in our spacing. And then here we have our radii. Import them again. What's CSS variables? As you can see, this is a quite tedious job. If you need to do this every time, you can set it up as a blueprint, which allows you to save some time. Radius. But if you're using this, I would just suggest pay the €190 that Core Framework costs, and just use this one because it immediately goes into your into Bricks. So I can really recommend using that one. And that's basically it. So now we have set up our variables, which was quite easy thanks to Core Framework. Can hit save. And now it's all in there. And now we can take a look at the page and try to recreate it. Now I don't have all the assets like the images and logos and that sort of things. So what I do is click this button right at the bottom here that you don't see at the bottom here. And when I click it, you see that the interface changes ever so slightly. And it allows me to select, for instance, the logo. And here I can select the logo and download it. So we can export, can save a new one, folder, route. We can also download this image. You can choose between the source image file, so the actual file that is used, and it can be bigger. But I recommend using how it looks in the design because it is automatically optimized for you. So we can this one, hero image. We also need to download the logos here. And we just select it and then doesn't work very easy. Now I went to a different kind of UI. Want to be here. Go back to our home pages. Let's download the SVG image 1. Go in here as well. 2. Yeah. Image 3. Image 4. Now, if you're doing this on your own website, you need to know that the logos needs to have some kind of name, even when you save it, because else you get also the usable text is done. This one is done. Variables is done. The next is building the hero banner. So let's start off with that one, right? Again, I'm going to set it side by side. And I'm not here to try to make this smaller. So now that we have set up, let me get me a focus as well. So I hope that you like it until now. And you need the variables and you need everything to set up to make your life easier because all of those components are reusable. In Elementor, I know that you can, you don't have to. And I will show you that you don't have to as well in Bricks Builder. But it makes your life so much easier if you want to change something up later on. So setting up the variables will save you a lot of time in the long run, but not in the initial run. Hey, Jimmy, how are you? So let's have a look how we can build up the page that we saw by just adding everything in like we used to perhaps in Elementor. So I will share my screen again. And as you can see, we don't have anything here. We can select section, which will be this whole section. And so the naming is nice. And in here, we see that we have an accent heading, which can be heading. We have our main heading, adapting and thriving, and that we have some kind of basic text. So we can add basic text. Then we have two buttons. So let's add two buttons. And we have an image. So let's an image. Now we have our basic settings, right? To be easy. Then we can go in here and select text and paste it in here as well. Get next text. Paste it in there. Get next piece of text. Paste it in there as well. It's getting boring, right? But it needs to be done. Get started. Then we add one more. So now we have everything in our section, in our container. And as you can see, everything is center aligned. Now, how can we do that? What I used to do is go into text, but that was a long time ago when I was a young, naive boy. And in typography, set everything to center. Now it doesn't work in here. But what we need to do is go into our container, set our display to flex. Flex allows us to align everything that's in the box automatically without being too thoughtful of things. Now, when I was younger, this was a bit more tedious because you have to margin out to align everything to get it in center, or use the text align center CSS. But nowadays, this will be easier. So now we can set our alignment. So instead of align self, we want, I don't know why they put this first. Should be the cross axis. We want everything to be centered. There we go. Everything is centered. Now next, we see that there's a little bit spacing on top and on the bottom, right? So let's add a little bit of spacing. We go into layout. Now you can pick either margin or padding. What I usually love to do is use padding as much as possible. Because as Kevin Geary says in his series, if you use padding, you have control over how the background looks. If you want a different color, you can use a different color. So that's what we're going to do right here as well. I'm going to set up as we're going to use like 3 rem, maybe just a tiny bit too little, maybe even 20 rem, a bit too much, 10 rem. This looks good. I'm really trying to match up somewhat the spacing that is used in here. As you can see, they have used a spacing system, and padding on top here is 100 pixels. I won't zoom in on the right hand side, but believe me, it says 100 pixels. But what we can do is open up our trusted calculator and do 100 divided by 16, 6.25 rem, 6.25 rem. And now we have the spacing the same as here. And now let's add the color that we want to use for this one. So we go into our styling, go into our typography, and here we have all the colors that we want to use. But we don't need to use the basic colors that are already available right now. We want to use our variables. I wonder why isn't the variable showing right here? The variable showing right here. So the right click kind of thing for core framework also saves you a lot of time and makes this so much easier. But let's just do the non-chomp way, right? The chomp way, as Kevin would say. We go into our hex. Maybe we can list out our colors, and we'll add a new one. Hex this one, and we save it. And here we say brand color. Brand color. And as you can see, this will get tedious quite fast because you have to remember that this is the color that we're using, but let's stick with it. For our H1, it has a bigger style, so we go into our font size and let's see how big size is. Actually, it is 72 pixels. Like I said earlier, I am not a calculating wonder. 4.5 RAM. So 4.5 RAM. And there we have the same sizing. Now you see some kind of difference, and this has to do with, I guess, the kind of typography they're using. Plus Jakarta looks a little bit different than we're using. And we can change the font family in here. So let's see if this is available. There we go. We can select it. And this one, see which one is used here. So plus Jakarta Sans. But this one is a bit tinier, right? It is 14 pixels. So we can set it to 40 pixels. Or we can set it to using our calculator 14 divided by 16 because 16 is the default font size. 0.6 RAM. Sometimes typing is a bit difficult. It looks very tiny on 0.8. 875. What is the name of the inspector plugin you use? So this isn't the plugin. This is the file for Figma. I'm using a design from Sprout UI. Thank you, by the way, for asking, Sasha. I'm using Sprout UI, which is a Figma file, and it allows me to explore the design like this. It would be nice if the browser would let it look similar to this. It would be amazing that you can see what kind of settings are active. But yeah, it's just something different, right? Imagine problem like, yeah, that would be awesome. Let's see. Have I missed something? Very weird weeks. I work. Ooh, not bad. That's not good. Do you have some emergencies to take care of? Hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, we could we could meet all of us, right? The wondering because um what's her name? Mika had a very good thing to say about you, so I'm very curious and what you are. I think you're a person, by the way. Also, let's go to our next section, our buttons. Let's go to our background because we want to change the color yellow into bluish color, and the typography we want to change it white. And then in here we search for our where is it hidden? Oh, here in our borders. And for our borders we want a kind of radius using, and radii use 8 pixels, which is half a RAM. So we can link all sides by pressing this icon right here, and we type in 0.5 RAM. And there we have our button. Then we can do the same for this one. We go in here. We actually want all our buttons to look the same. And to save a little bit time for that, we can just go into our settings, into our theme styles. And we don't have a theme style right now, so we can add one. Add default. Create. Here you can set this conditions. It will be visible on the entire side. And if you scroll down just a little bit, you see that there's colors already. But yeah, we have set it different place. And our primary color, you can see this in a bit, will be our brand color. And as you can see, this one is also a primary color, and it has changed the way it looks. Now, if we scroll down, we see that there's a lot of elements in there, and the one we want to change is the button element. And I want the default border to have 8 pixels of radii. So what we do in here is type in 0.5 rem. We can link them up, and there we go. Now every button has the same radius. Then we can go into our primary styling. We want the typography color white. So you have some kind of contrast and you can read what it actually says. It's also very helpful. Yeah, so life is not all made out of roses. Yeah. Right. um, so this is also what I love to do. Make so many things reusable and easy for you to build out the rest of your website. So when you're deconstructing this sections that you have on your right hand side, look into your elements and see what you can reuse. For instance, I want my HTML develop tag should be H2 if you ask me. And perhaps somewhere we can change our typography. Oh, here we go. And here we have a heading. What kind of typography size do we want to use for our heading? So what we can do is set this default size. And the default size is 72 pixels. So bad at remembering. 72 divided by 16 is 4.5 rem. And as you can see, you have to calculate it every time and time again. And it gets boring really quickly. And that's why the variables that we set up is coming in very handy. We can press this icon, and here we have our variables. Unfortunately, everything is showing and not just the one from text, but we can search, so will make our lives a little bit easier. And we want this to be 2XL. Now, every time we use a heading 1, by default, it gets this styling. So we can also do that for our colors. I don't understand why the colors are not here. But we need to edit primary, right? Should be nicer. That would be very nice. Save. That when you set it up in a variable and it is a color, that it is seen as a color. Now I have to do it twice. But anyway, now our H1 heading will have a default styling of this color and this size. And we can see that this is true if we add an element in here. Let's add another heading. I didn't do anything to the heading. And if we look at the typography, I don't know if we see font size. I assume that this would be that, right? 2XL. We also need to set Jakarta plus and set the weight 700. We need to hit save first and refresh. Try it out. And H2. And if we select H1, and there we have it. It does look that the typography size is slightly different. And that has to do that we have set our sizing using our variables instead of using our sizing just like the other one. Put it 5.1 rem. You see that the sizing is the same. But using variables makes it easier that you don't have to calculate everything every time. And you know that a heading 1 has a 2XL. You can do it like this. Jakarta and it's fine. It would be nice that it was done for every heading, but we set it up quick. There we go. Font size of heading 2 to be 1XL, to be Jakarta. Now we have set default for that one as well. If we go in heading, that is H1, it will get our H1 styling, and for this one as well, if we remove styling in here. This would make reusable things very easy and nice to use. Just going to the chats, but love that you're chatting, guys. So now you understand why you should set up the theme styling and at least deconstruct what's in there in the design. That you understand what kind of font is used, what the size is, and what kind of color is used. Because this way you can set up your website easier. Let's also add an image in here. Select image. It allows me to select an image. Come on. Or yapping. Doesn't look, it allows me to open up the select image, and I don't know why. Bigger will help. Add another image. I don't know why. It doesn't allow me to open. There we go. Suddenly it works. Then we go to our file explorer, downloads, crowd, select all the images that we have, throw them in there, and here we have our images. Image. Control delete will remove it. And as you can see, we sort of getting there slowly but surely. It does look a little bit different, but hey, that is what happens sometimes, right? Then what I want to do is make sure that our buttons are aligned left and right. And so we can see this button has a border around it. This one doesn't. So what we can do is go in our styling, go to our border, and add one width. We press link size twice, set it solid, and then select our grayish color. And in our background, set it transparent. Then we added typography color so that our button is visible. There we have our button. Is it Figma on the right side of your screen? Yeah, that's Figma. When you have dev mode on, you will see those kind of things. It will be so awesome if you have this kind of inspector for inside of your browser. So if Figma is seeing this video, please create such a plugin. Next step would be changing the layout a little bit. So we can also adding spacing here, and maybe L or 2XL. and on the left and right side as well. Then we get it nicely aligned. Those buttons are underneath each other, and we don't want that. We want them to be beside each other. So we'll add a div, which is actually an empty container, and we just drag them in. Sometimes it doesn't work, so I like to use the structure as well. And as you can see, they're now nicely side by side. We go into our contents. We go in flex, because then we can add a gap. And in see, no gap. So we spacing 2XLs, 2XS spacing looks fine. And then we align the sections from top to bottom. So we want to have a row gap. And something like this. And as you can see, there we have our our hero section. Now, as I said earlier, we have set a lot of styling on the elements itself, and it isn't really reusable, because if we add another section afterwards, and we add in a basic text, throw it in the container, or we don't, like this. You see, it doesn't follow the styling that we have for our first section. And this is because we didn't set it up as the default. So we need to add that. Go into our typography. We look into our typography. Should be something, right? Do you use ACSS in any projects? I've used ACSS in my private project. I'm working on a new design for my website. I've used ACSS there. And until now, I have found that I've not used anything else than, what's it called? The color variables or the spacing variables. Because I like to use and create the classes myself as well. It isn't the most efficient one, so it's still like a chump, if you can quote Kevin Geary. But the core framework is just, see that I've deleted a lot of things. But core framework gives me the basics that I need. So it doesn't make sense for me to use ACSS. But I do like what Kevin is creating and how he is using it. For instance, the icon box and all other good stuff. So yeah, I don't blame you if you're using. If you're about CSS Ken, no, I haven't. An extension. I have it on Safari, but I CSS Ken. Let's see. Paid extension. What? We're not going to pay. Maybe we will. Oh yeah, I've seen something similar. Yeah, I'm fine with my inspector. We do like this, you can expect it as well. And below we have our styling, so it's not as compact as maybe this is, but this is fine. This is nice, but doesn't beat Figma. True Inspector does the job. Nice. So as you can understand, I don't know everything yet. The on RAM. Oh, fine, right? Theme settings, typography, and in body. We set our styling to be 1 rem. And we want a color to be raw. Then we variables. Then we text body. Our text body. And as you can see, it immediately aligns the next text that we have put in and styles it the same. Jakarta here. Jakarta stands. So we're getting there slowly but surely. Don't call me Shirley. There's a joke by one of my guys. I do like Advanced Themer a lot, actually. I can open it up. Thank you for asking, because because would be who does not like Advanced Themer? Yeah. And the guy is also a German, so it's our next door neighbor. So it's always good. So I like if I can give advice on any plugin you want to buy with Bricks Builder, it is definitely Advanced Themer, because if we now refresh the page, let's see. You can already see that we have quick access to everything on the right hand side. If we open up text, not everything is shown by default, but you can quickly go to different sections of your styling without needing to have this kind of thing opened up. It makes life so much easier. And then you have the classes that you can use. And then you also have, if you are like me, and you're working in Elementor in your day job, but like to use Bricks Builder in your other job, then you style, as you can see, certain things on the element itself. And this should be done. And the reason why is because it isn't reusable. So what we can do right here is that we rename everything, like hero and inner and accent hero, and then we can auto have the class converter, so we can convert everything that's in there into a class, and this will automatically create BAM classes, which is my favorite way of setting up BAM classes. So if you Maxime is a Belgium. Oh, really? I thought he was a German from the way he talks, but nice that he is a Belgium. So if I can recommend any plugin you buy with Bricks Builder, at least buy Advanced Themer. Bricks Forge is also a very good tool if you want to do animations, and it has a really powerful form kind of thing. But for, I think, most of the websites, you don't really need animations. And to be fair, CSS animations are amazing nowadays. So that's my thinking. But I'm going to deactivate this one. I'm sorry, Advanced Themer. Get it for now. So let's save. It speeds up your workflow so much. And if you forget something, like the class converter is could be just one of the reasons to just have Advanced Themer. The other one is for the quick adding of the elements and styling that is just such a breeze to use. Let's see. So we have this kind of section, and as we can see, it still looks a bit different. What we can do is change the spacing. Maybe this is a little bit too big. S looks a bit better. And as a designer, I would like my headers to be more together, so closer together, and my button to be further apart. And the best way of doing that is combining those into a nice div. So we'll add a div, we'll add the arrow in there, the basic normal text, and as you can see, they're now closer together. You can also align them, not self-align, flex again, and align them vertical, center, and there we have it centered. Hey, Dave. It's fine. Nice of you to join. How are you, Dave? I'm fine. Thank you for asking. And now we can change also the width of this one, because as you can see, it will go on the next line in the Figma file. So we change the size. What we can do is use CH. CH means character. So we can say the width of the section should be this amount of characters. For instance, for the CH, will give you this result, or that result if you put 20. And as we can see, in a changing world is aligned like that. So we have now something similar. Go into our style and in our typography and set it to center. And for this one again, set it to center. And there we have our hero section. Now it doesn't look very, very similar, and that should be fine, right? So yeah, that is building out our hero section. And I think I'm going to quit that. That's what we have planned. So we have the banner. We have set up the banner. We have set up the theme defaults. We haven't made classes. We've touched a bit on it using Advanced Themer. And I think sticking within 1 hour and 20 minutes to be fine. So this one to be done as well. Break. So I'm wondering, does anybody have questions? And if you are rewatching this, leave a comment down below. How did you think this has gone? I think I've gone through a lot of information, a lot of things, and it was a bit chaotic. So I need to work on my pacing and how we can structure this better. I had a idea in mind, but my brain just goes way faster than I can explain it. Thank you, Jimmy. So, yeah, I think this is a very good point. A recap. So first, we broke down the structure. You need to understand what is in the Figma file. What kind of structure we have? We have the big boxes, the another big box, and another big box, another big box, and we need to understand how this is built up. So, what kind of boxes are inside the bigger box? We see a box, and this is the box that contains our text. You see that there's a little bit more spacing around here, so we keep that bigger. Then we have a box with the buttons, and then we have the image inside here. It could be inside the box as well, but if we can omit the box, that would be fine. And this is all set inside of a bigger box. So you need to understand how you can deconstruct every element that's there, how they are grouped together. So instead of a box, you can also think grouping. And this will make your life easier to understand. You need to try this out a few times to understand how you can break down a page and what's in there. We understand what the breakdown is. The next step would be to collect all kinds of things that are reusable. In this instance, the colors are reusable. We have the white color for the sign up. It is reused in this button as well. We also see that the main brand color is reused in the call to action button in the top corner here and also here. And we also see get successful together as the same color. It is really important to have those already set up and to understand that those are available, that we want to reuse them over and over again to keep everything consistent. So this also goes for spacing. Is there a certain spacing that we use? A very popular one is the 8-point grid. So if you want to use a spacing grid but don't know which one you want to use, try to use the 8-point grid. Search on Google and you will find it. I know for sure. Then break down what kind of font sizing you have. You have a very big font size for your H1, for your accent color, a very small one. It could also be the similar size of this one. So you need to break down what kind of font sizes are there. But this takes a lot of work to do every time and to set up every time the variables that you need, because you go into Bricks Builder. Let's remove this one. Bye bye. And you need to copy and paste time and time again all the variables that you want to use. You need to set up the color, the spacing, and that sort of things. A way to make your life a lot easier, I would recommend to use something like Core Framework. Core Framework has this already set up for you. You just set up which kind of colors you want to use. ACSS, Automatic CSS does the same thing. The advantage of Core Framework is that it is cheaper and you can use it on unlimited amount of projects. And you can even use the free version by just going into your previous CSS and copy the colors in, and copy your the styles in, like you've seen earlier during this live stream. Automatic CSS is great because it also makes a lot of other nice tweaks that you don't have to think about, but it depends if you're using it or not. Just look into Automatic CSS. So using something like a framework like ACSS or a Core Framework makes your lives that much easier, because you don't have to think on how to set this up and copy and paste things over and over again. Then when you have done that, building your website is so much easier. Now, you can do it just like you are used to use in Elementor. You can set up a section, you can add a heading, text, that sort of things, and you can change it. So it doesn't matter. If you want it to be a different color, you can go into your typography. If it is text, go into your color, have your brand color selected. There we go. It is our brand color. Now, is this the best way of doing this? If you're used to building websites, you know that sometimes I want a different line height for all of my hero section headings. And doing that without using classes is getting very tiresome, because you need to change it over and over again. Same goes if your brand color changes. I've had that, and it is pretty tiring. So in the next live stream, we go into classes, into building this further, and also using classes, and why the classes does have advantages in using that. So thank you for watching. Thank you, little brother, for your comment. And yeah, it is boxes and boxes. So thank you all for joining. Please do leave a comment if you think it was confusing, if you think it was good. Let me know, because I'm learning to teach you how to do these things, and would love to understand how I am doing and what I can improve upon. And if you have any other questions, also leave them in the comments down below, so can I answer them in our next live stream next week, or maybe next year. We'll see. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep designing. Come to awkwardly press the stop broadcast button. Bye bye.